Welcome into the Stardom Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen McKinney, joined as always by Ashton Mitchell and Jacob Stevens. This is the, I guess, technically Thursday episode of week 8. We got an early morning episode in our hands, so we can actually include some Thursday night players possibly in our starts and sits of the week.
I forgot.
But go ahead.
I said I forgot about that. I would have done that.
But we got the second half of our matchups. We did our first half back on Tuesday's episode. We have our ins and outs for injuries of the week, and then we will finish it off with our starts and sits of the week. How you guys feeling going into this week about your teams? Are your lineup set? Do you guys have any injuries?
I'm scared. I've been trying to make some moves, but then I'm like, I don't know what to do. I've told you guys I've got the highest scoring team in our main league, but I'm 3-4, and it's just not looking good. And I'm playing a pretty good team this week, so I'm hoping I get lucky. And honestly, that's just where I'm at this week.
Yeah, I got a lot of players out this week, and a few of my leagues. It's a tough week, but I'm scrambling the right players to make it work.
Very nice.
Hopefully
This seems to be when your depth kind of kicks in. I think I've rotated like 90% of my starting lineup out these last 3 weeks. Like they've been different players just rotating in and out. So
how many leagues do you have Michael Thomas in?
I believe I had him in 3. Now I have him in 2.
What a mistake by you.
Jacob and I did a little bit of a blockbuster trade in our Dynasty League following our Tuesday show. It was a big one. It was Jonathan Taylor and Brandon Ayuk, as well as his first round pick for next year, in exchange for Justin Herbert, Michael Thomas, Devonta Freeman, and a third round pick. So there's a lot of moving pieces in that one. We'll see who wins that trade down the line. But
in about 5 years or so, we'll know.
But yeah, it was definitely a big one. But guys, let's jump right into the injuries for the week. I know there's a ton of them to get through. So let's see if we can go through these. We'll start it off with, I think, the one everybody wants to know about for tonight's game, Christian McCaffrey.
So he got back to practice this week, but it just came out this morning that he's not expected to be activated to play tonight.
What about Joe Mixon?
His foot is still hurting. He hasn't practiced this week, so really you just need to follow the news, and it would be a game time decision if he is. He's not really doubtful or expected to play yet. It's just kind of up in the air.
Gotcha. Dalvin Cook?
Dalvin Cook is expected to play today, or expected to play this week. He's got the groin injury, but they're expecting him to go.
Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones really wanted to play last week. He's definitely in danger of missing his second straight game. He's got a calf injury, so you just got to hope and pray.
Yep. What about Josh Jacobs?
I think Josh Jacobs is going to be fine. He's a little banged up. His knee is hurting a little bit, but he got some limited practice in. He's had limited practice this week. I'm expecting him to play.
Gotcha. I know Chris Carson's most likely to miss. A lot of people are looking for.
Oh, there's a chance he can play. He's going to play. It's ridiculous.
I think it's a little bit more limited. What about Carlos Hyde, though?
Well, Carlos Hyde, his hamstring is holding him back. He didn't practice Wednesday, but you got to expect him to be out there if Carson isn't. But there is still a chance that Carson plays. It's I don't know what's up with that guy. He's trying to. I think he's trying to prove that he can play 16 games, and clearly it's not going well.
Devonta Freeman.
He got knocked out with an ankle injury. He's questionable going into this week.
Okay. Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton almost got his head knocked off. So he's in concussion protocol right now. Backup Ben DiNucci, 7th round pick. Cowboys are also bringing back Cooper Rush. So
Big things
interesting
happening.
things.
Yeah. Allen Robinson.
He's in concussion protocol. So just kind of monitor that and see if he gets through.
Gotcha. Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas still missed practice. He's got that hammy. We're hoping he can get back into the game, but there's a chance he misses another.
Welcome to the world of watching Michael Thomas miss every game as you watch the practice reports.
Thank you.
Jamison Crowder.
He's gonna. I think it looks like he's gonna come down to the wire. He's injured his groin. He didn't practice yesterday, so probably a game time decision.
Okay. Deontay Johnson.
He did not practice yesterday either. He's got a hurt toe, probably his big toe. Yeah,
Right.
not his pinky toe. So the bigger the toe. But he also said, and I quote, "Nothing will keep me out of the game." So
It's a bold claim.
yeah, that's what I said.
What about Noah Fant?
He's been banged up all year, it seems. His ankle, he tweaked his ankle this past week. He's been limited practicing, so they are expecting him to play.
Tyler Higbee.
Tyler Higbee has a hand injury. He was kind of a surprise inactive on Monday Night Football. Not that it really matters because he's been playing like crap, but there's a good chance he'll return this week.
And lastly, Austin Hooper.
Austin Hooper had an appendectomy. He'll need at least one more week, maybe another. And man, I was getting excited for him. And then OBJ goes out, and it's like, oh, this is the time. And then you got to wait.
All right. Well, that does it for our injuries. There's probably a few more in there. We'll talk about as many as we can in the second half of our matchups as well. So if any of them come up, make sure to shout them out.
Okay.
But let's jump into the second half of our matchups. Keep in mind there are 4 teams on bye this week. We have the Arizona Cardinals, Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Washington Football Team. So get all your Washington Football Team players out of your lineup.
All one of them. 2 of them. Sorry.
Well, 2 of them at this point.
Sorry, Ashton.
Shaking my head over here.
All right, well, let's jump into the first one. As we said, we did the first half of matchups on Tuesday's show. So if you don't hear your matchup in this show, make sure to check that one out. But let's start off with the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Cleveland Browns. Let's start on the Las Vegas side. We talked about Josh Jacobs being a little bit banged up, but we're expecting him to go. Besides Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller, is there anybody really that sticks out in this game as possible good play?
I take you to be my partner.
Oh, my. Sorry about that. I was pulling up the Las Vegas odds for these games and this random commercial.
I didn't know if that was like a sound drop. I don't know where this is going.
Yeah, I was really curious as to where that was going.
Sorry about that, guys. I'll try to bleep that out. But anyways, I think Henry Ruggs could have a big game. That's kind of the only other person I mean, if you're feeling wild and crazy, Nelson Aguilar has been doing some things for the Raiders, but Cleveland's secondary is pretty abysmal. So I think the passing game should be strong as a whole. It's a 55-point over under. And the Browns are actually favored in this game.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a lot of points going around. That's basically what I'm expecting here.
Yeah, I think. What about on the Cleveland side of the ball in terms of we talked about Austin Hooper missing. Harrison Bryant came out of nowhere last week and gave you some decent points if you were wild enough to start him somehow last week. Are you willing to take that bet again this week?
I mean, I think you can. Las Vegas They're a top 12 tight end defense. So, but they've given up 2 top 5 performances the last 2 weeks. So I think it's definitely an option. They got to throw it somewhere. Landry's got a broken rib, and Rashard Higgins is an option as well. I think this is going to be a high flying game here. And it's kind of what I'm expecting. So I think you could. I think Landry is definitely a start, and Bryant. It's not. He's probably not a great start, but I'm not exactly thrilled for Bryant this week.
Yeah, Vegas side, I'm gonna keep an eye on Nelson Aguilar. He's been a pretty consistent play for
Eagles fans are loving it.
I know. It's just funny how, they kind of switch his role as a wideout and utilize his speed a little bit more, and it works out for him just fine in Las Vegas. So it'll be an interesting matchup against the Browns this week. I'm a bit concerned with Cleveland's situation with OBJ out. Landry's gonna have to step up. We'll see if that can happen. And then I'm leaning towards Kareem Hunt in this matchup right now.
You love Kareem Hunt. You have him everywhere, it seems.
Yeah, he was a big target for me this year in the drafts.
Yeah, I think he'll have a big game as well.
So what's your confidence level moving forward with Jarvis Landry now that OBJ's out? He's been disappointing for the most part all year. Do you have more confidence now that Odell's out as someone that you can regularly play, or are you still a little bit on the fence here?
I mean, he definitely takes a bump up. It's going to be matchup dependent, and it's going to depend on, how much of a connection Baker has with him versus Higgins. But we'll see. I mean, Landry's a great wide receiver. I mean, he's got great hands. It's just a matter of
his broken rib. He's got a broken rib, guys. Don't forget about that. And then go ahead.
His volume is going to take a step up. I mean, and that's basically what you're riding it on is more opportunity now.
Right.
So he's going to get more targets, and that's where.
But still, it's also still a run first offense, so you can't expect like him to just shoot up to like wide receiver 1 status. I still think he's going to be back in wide receiver 2. Honestly.
Yeah.
All the touchdowns are going to go to Kareem Hunt. For you, Ashton.
I hope so.
Fair enough. All right, let's jump into the next matchup we have here. We have the LA Chargers taking on the Denver Broncos. Justin Herbert's been lighting it up. We saw a huge game out of him. But let's talk about the running situation real quick with Justin Jackson and Joshua Kelly. Austin Eckler is still out. So we still got, this duo kind of leading the way. We saw about 2 weeks ago, when we first saw this Justin Jackson and Joshua Kelly setup with Austin Eckler out. Justin Jackson was the guy who kind of led that backfield. But last week, Justin Jackson was in and out of the game. He was a game time decision to begin with. So Joshua Kelly got a little bit more snaps, a little bit more action. What is y'all's outlook for this duo going into a game with Denver?
It's not a good outlook. Denver has been pretty good against the run this year, so it's not really a matchup you're feeling good about, especially when the splits are going like this. Mm-hmm. And like 8 different people got carries this past week in their game. Herbert got a carry, Kelly got a carry, some guy named Joe Reed, I don't know Joe Reed, Justin Jackson, Tyron Johnson, Tremaine Pope, Easton Stick. I mean, they were running everybody out there, trying to do some trick plays and all that sneaky stuff. But yeah, I don't think I want to start either one of those options with Denver as the number 2 run defense in the league.
Yeah. If you're having to roster, or start any of these backs in this matchup, at best, I think you're hoping for a 50-50 split. Kelly out-snapped Jackson this past week, but that's flexible.
But he was banged up, like
right.
Stephen said. So it's like, and then he averaged 2.4 yards per carry. So
right. Yeah.
I think if the thing is, if Justin Jackson is healthy, he's definitely going to lead the backfield, I think. just because Josh Kelly's he's still a rookie. He's still figuring it out. But Justin Jackson hasn't been that healthy, and I don't want either one of them in this matchup.
Agreed.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What about this wide receivers? Obviously, you're probably going to start Allen. You're probably having to start Hunter Henry. But what about Williams? Like, are you feeling confident with Mike Williams?
Burned me last week. He burned me so hard. I started 2 leagues, and I think it was like 0.8 or something. It was awful.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the risk you're going to take with Mike Williams. He's definitely
Right. Yeah, he's going to boom or bust, but it was just like, Justin Herbert throws such a pretty deep ball, and then it just never got out there this week. But they are playing a decent team. I think AJ Boye might be back this week. I'm not sure. So they might maybe open things up for him. But yeah, you're not confident. You're just it's a boom or bust play. Like if you're projected to lose by a lot of points, maybe you throw him in the flex and just cross your eyes, cross your fingers, cross your toes, your legs. You just hope for the best.
Well, if you go cross-eyed, you probably can't watch him play though. So
that's true. I didn't think about that.
What about you, Ashton? Are you confident starting Mike Williams in this matchup, or you still think it's too boom bust for you?
Oh no, not confident at all. I mean, he's only had one game where he's scored more than 10 points, and that was week 5 against New Orleans. And then he came back after the bye in Jacksonville and only got 0.9 points. I mean,
against Jacksonville, come on.
Yeah, so no, I'm not confident starting him at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be a little bit worrisome when Justin Herbert has a career day and Mike Williams is disappointing for you.
Right.
All right, well, let's jump over to the other side with Denver. Obviously, they didn't look great last week either. Drew Lock, I'm not sure if he's fully healthy yet. He just didn't seem to really have a good connection going with anybody out there. Philip Lindsay exited the game about halfway through, somewhere in the third quarter. And Melvin Gordon just found the end zone, which kind of saved his day. But let's talk about that running back situation as well. If Philip Lindsay is a full go, how do you gauge these two? What do you have them kind of ranked moving forward into this matchup?
I'm still leaning Gordon over Lindsay with carries. And
they heavily lean.
Yeah,
Gordon.
and touchdown dependent on that as well.
And it seems Lindsay can't stay on the field. He's having troubles out there. He probably just needs a couple weeks off to really just completely get healthy. And Gordon's always been able to get the touchdowns. So he's a decent play in this game. I mean, I don't think you're going to sit him, but the Chargers, man, they're just a solid defense overall. They're top 10 in run defense. So this might be a low-scoring affair in this game, but the Chargers did get torched by James Robinson this past week for like 28 points. So it could go either way. They're dealing with injuries as well. But Gordon's a decent play, but 100% over Lindsay. Outside of Noah Fant, are you guys comfortable with any wide receivers for Denver?
Well, I mean, I don't
Patrick?
know. I'm kind of worried about Noah Fant. I mean, it's like he didn't look healthy last week. He was going in and off of the field, still looked banged up. So, I mean, he's got all the talent, and you want to be able to play him, but it's still shaky. Like, you just don't know how many snaps he's going to play, how many opportunities he's going to get. So if you can take a better option just for this week, play the matchups, and look to see Noah Fant fully healthy, I think I kind of try to take that route. But yeah, I mean, these wide receivers, it's scary. I mean, Tim Patrick had a few games where he was doing well. Jerry Judy's been able to find the end zone here, but overall, he's not getting a ton of targets and not a lot of receptions. So I'd prefer to stay away from these wide receivers for now until we see a little bit more good out of Drew Lock.
Fair.
Tim Patrick, I'd keep an eye on him. He's dealing with a hamstring injury right now. It's day to day, but he wasn't really present during practice yesterday. So, but I mean, if he's out there, I mean, there's potential. He's getting looks. And when he gets the looks, he's doing well. He's efficient, but he's got to get the looks.
Fair enough. All right, let's jump into the next one. We have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Chicago Bears. I mean, we say this for the last couple of weeks. This might be the first time that Michael Thomas plays. I don't know if we're jinxing him every week, and that's why he's not playing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should look at this game as if Michael Thomas will be out there. It seems like the time it has come that this is Michael Thomas. So I guess what does that mean for the rest of these options in New Orleans? Does that affect Kamara? Does it affect Jared Cook? Like, what kind of outlook do you have on those other guys?
Well, it looks like, I mean, the Thomas plays. So Sanders is coming back from COVID, right? Was it Marquez Holloway? Can't remember his name.
Mm-hmm.
He's injured too. I mean, outside of Thomas, I mean, I think Sanders is coming back this week. I'm not sure.
Well, no, Sanders has already actually been ruled out for this week.
So Sanders has actually been ruled out already. He will not be playing this week. I don't think it's going to change anything for Kamara. I think Cook's still going to get the same volume. He's not getting that much anyway. I don't think much is going to change for him, but what's going to change is that this is a terrible matchup for them. Chicago obviously has been elite against pretty much everybody on all aspects of the defensive side. So, I mean, outside of Thomas and Cook and Kamara, I don't think I'm playing anybody else. And I might not even play Cook. I don't know.
Are you still? I mean, with Drew Brees, I mean, you've seen decent weeks here and there, but for the most part, it's been disappointing. But if Thomas is a go against this tough defense, are you okay playing Drew Brees here?
I would.
He's not my first
100%
choice.
Avoid it. I would. I mean, if I can't avoid it, I will avoid it. I don't want it. I don't really want any part of that. I'm sorry. I just don't. The Bears have allowed a QB more than 16 points twice this season. That's not enough.
Drew Brees hasn't been like horrible, but he hasn't been the Drew Brees that we expected.
He started really bad for sure.
Yes, he did. But
I mean, adjusting without Thomas.
Right.
So there's always
we
that.
can see, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Kamara's going to take a big hit if Michael Thomas comes back. It might actually open up the field more for him. And if Drew Brees is,
right,
unbeknownst to us, struggling with, I've just, the velocity on his passes, I've seen a little bit more of a struggle this year in him than before. So I'm not so sure that he's not going to continue to just dump it out to Kamara. So if the field's opening up a little bit more because Thomas is out there, a little bit more of a distraction or decoy, then Kamara could still continue to have a good setup here.
Yep. All right, but on the Chicago side of the ball, it's just last week it seemed like nobody was playing great. They didn't look good overall.
They didn't want to win.
Nick Foles didn't look like he'd ever played quarterback before.
Mm-hmm.
David Montgomery couldn't break a tackle to save his life. Allen Robinson's always open. They just can't throw him the ball for some reason. But with this matchup in New Orleans, New Orleans is normally known for being a good defense, but they've given up some fantasy points this year. What is y'all's outlook for the Chicago side?
Oh, it's not great. I mean, you're starting Jimmy Grandpa for the most part because he's just catching touchdowns, and he actually had some decent usage last week. You probably appreciated that somewhat, Stefan. Allen Robinson, if his head's back on his shoulders, you're always starting him. I think you can start David Montgomery here and feel okay about it. Not great, but okay. Maybe less than okay. Just all right.
I don't think you should start Montgomery. I'll dive more into that later. He's not efficient.
Yeah, I mean, David Montgomery is just a hard person to have as a fantasy player, just because
He's got the whole backfield to himself,
he's
and he
so
just sucks.
frustrating. Yeah, it's just like he doesn't have that big play capability. He's never going to give you those huge games. So, I mean, if you play David Montgomery, you're just like kind of settling for the fact that, okay, you're going to get like a week, like, I don't think at this point he's ever going to give you like a less than 5 point performance, but he's just never going to really boom for big points. He's never going to win you a week. So that's why it's just,
He's just a safe floor. I mean,
yeah.
he's catching balls out of the backfield. He had 5 catches last week for a whopping 21 yards. But I mean, half point PPR, that's fine. He had 4 catches the week before, 7 catches the week before that. So he's pretty much averaging at least around 20 touches a game. So
Yeah.
it's hard. I mean, if you have him, it's like you're gonna get about 9 or 10 points.
Yeah, but the thing
But
is,
don't
like,
expect him to win a week.
there's someone on the waiver wire every week, a running back that you can pick up and will give you the same production. But you can always, like, you take the chance for those guys that they'll be able to give you those boom weeks, like Jeff
Right.
Wilson last week or someone like that, where it's like, I don't know. I think I'd rather take that chance with just finding a waiver guy to plug in over David Montgomery. It's just he's a frustrating fantasy option for sure. But what about with Allen Robinson? Like, we saw last week where they just kind of struggled to get him heavily involved. Do you expect them to kind of lean back towards Allen Robinson as they struggled last week?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Ramsey. I mean, you look at the Rams secondary. They're kind of shutting him down, and then the last quarter of the game, they decided to throw it to him, and he ends up with 70 yards. So I'm not worried. I'm really not worried about Allen Robinson at all.
No, you're still putting in Allen Robinson.
Okay.
Anthony Miller on the other side.
All right. Next matchup we
Mooney's
have-
the guy. Mooney's the other guy. Right, Stefan?
No, do not play Mooney. The San Francisco 49ers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. On San Francisco's side, we don't know what we're going to get with running back. Everybody's big
Same
pickup.
story every week, baby.
Yeah, everybody's big pickup here was Jermichael Hasty, thinking he was going to be, the next big thing. But Jerick McKinnon is still healthy. Tevin Coleman is a possible play this week. We don't know yet, but Kyle Shanahan seems to think there's a chance. So kind of what do you guys, how are you managing this backfield leading into this week? I know a lot of people put a lot of eggs into the basket of Jermichael Hasty on the waiver wire. Should they, feel good about that now, or are you expecting someone else to kind of take the lead in that backfield?
I've just been avoiding that backfield since I don't know when. If Mostert's not there, man, it just doesn't work right. And there's a lot of moving pieces. I think McKinnon is the 1-2 start. Seattle's not bad against allowing points for running backs, but I think it's because people just throw on them because it's so easy. So I'd probably lean McKinnon here.
I agree, but I'm very cautious about it, and I
don't want to.
I'm monitoring that up to probably game time.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think I'm starting Jermichael Hasty unless there's somehow Jerick
He's
McKinnon
named the
misses
starter.
game and Tevin Coleman doesn't come. Like, if he's the only guy left, Jermichael Hasty's fine. But I'm just worried about what his role is going to be, and I think the opportunity of Tevin.
What's
Coleman,
the ceiling there?
right?
No,
We don't know.
a split backfield, like 8-9 touches.
Yeah. I think if Tevin Coleman returns this game, if he's a play, I think I play Tevin Coleman with probably the most confidence, just because we've seen the most out of him when he is.
But he also hasn't played in like 5 weeks. So it's just so many question marks for this running back room right now.
Yep. But let's talk about some of these other options. Obviously, George Kittle is always in your lineup.
Yes,
But
he
their wide
is.
receiver core is banged up. Deebo Samuel will be missing this game. So it's basically Kendrick Bourne and Brandon Ayuk. How do you feel about those two guys as possible options here against Seattle's secondary, who's been terrible?
I'm high on Brandon Ayuk in this matchup. I think you're looking for someone that can can come in there and be a big playmaker after the reception. So I think he's the guy. I think they're going to use him to continue to expand the play after the touch and go from there. But I don't know. Bourne's not really on my radar.
Yeah, I would agree that Ayuk is I think he's going to just really pop right into the Debo Samuel role, kind of be that gadget player we saw him start to be before Debo got back, doing some run plays and stuff like that. Kendrick Bourne, he's no slouch. I mean, but I wouldn't be like, I mean, if he's out there and you were super desperate and you're like decimated, like a deep league, I don't think Bourne's a bad play. But Kittle's gonna just probably soak up all these targets.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think at Brandon Ayuk, like if this running back core is really as depleted as we think, and Coleman doesn't return, and you see, Michael Hasty and Jacob McKinnon, you might see some snaps go to Brandon Ayuk out of the backfield. Who knows? But let's talk about the Seattle side. Russell Wilson has been lighting it up. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf.
Probably benching Lockett this week. Probably my set of the week.
Don't do it. But yeah, those guys are in your lineup. It doesn't seem like they're going to be any issue for you. But let's talk about. I mean, I feel like every team really has some running back questions this week. We talked about it earlier. We don't know what the status is going to be with Chris Carson and Carlos Hyde. But I mean, there's a possibility one of them plays. There's a possibility both of them plays. There's a possibility neither of them play. So, there's a lot of uncertainty here. Let's say neither of them play. Are you taking the shot with the rookie DJ Dallas?
Nope.
No.
I think I would.
Against a top 5 run defense, you would.
Yeah. If he's the only guy left, if you get a running back that is going to get
Travis Homer is still there. So, and he's had more touches than DJ Dallas has had this year. So I think it'll be a split between them just in general. But I don't think you want to run against the 49ers, man.
Yeah. I mean, Travis Homer is questionable as well. So like
they're all falling to pieces.
All of the top 3. I mean, the only clearly healthy running back is DJ Dallas. And he's been someone that has been known to be good receiving in college. So I think if it's clear that he's the only guy left, I would play DJ Dallas as a flex option. But let's look at the more realistic possibility here. I think the most realistic outcome is that Chris Carson is out and Carlos Hyde plays. So if Carlos Hyde is the guy, where do you see him kind of fitting in as a fantasy running back this week?
Not a good one. I'll talk a little bit more about these running backs later. But it's just not something I want. They're all banged up, like you said. DJ Dallas, the most healthy person there. That's not really where you want to be against the top 5 run defense.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant with Carlos Hyde. I mean, he'll get the work if Carson's out for sure, but
we saw him get some work last week.
Yeah, Seattle has been so pass heavy this year. I think they're going to continue to do that in this matchup as well. So, if you need him, I think he's a good streamer, but I'm not leaning on him as putting up RB1 numbers.
Okay. What about the tight ends? Would you be okay starting Greg Olsen, Will Dissly, Jacob Hollis, any of those guys?
I mean, if you're desperate, Greg Olsen.
Yeah, not confidently, but you never know. Greg Olsen. I mean, there was a connection earlier this year with Russell Wilson and Greg Olsen, but we'll see if that picks up this week.
Okay. Let's get into the Sunday night matchup. We have the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Another
game of the week, baby. Let's go.
Another great NFC game. NFC East is looking bad, and now it's getting a little bit even more murky. we don't know we're going to see a quarterback for Dallas just yet. With Andy Dalton coming out of the concussion protocol, we don't know if he'll be a go. If not, you get the rookie and Ben DiNucci. But either way, with either one of them, I think you have to realistically look for different options at wide. If you have any of the wide receivers, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, if you have any of those guys, I think this is a good matchup, but just how bad they're moving the ball.
It's so bad.
I think you want to look for different options until they can get that together. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
If Zach Martin's back this week, I would still. I think you still got to start Cooper, honestly, and maybe Schultz, but Lamb and Gallup. I'm seeing people drop them, or Gallup's been droppable for a while. People are talking about dropping Lamb, it's like it seems crazy just a few weeks ago, like what we were seeing from him, and now it's like, okay, that kind of makes sense. It hurts.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I mean, because the way that they were going at the beginning of the season with Dak, I mean, they could have been in competition for, top 24, top 25 numbers. I mean, had it, continued to move forward, but that's not the case now.
If they would have paid Dak, he wouldn't have broke his ankle. That's what I heard on the streets.
So it was all planned out. Yeah, I'm not happy with starting any Dallas wide receiver. I'm even concerned about Zeke moving forward. Jacob and I talked about this a little this past week, but it's just concerning. I mean, past 2 games have been a big struggle. You would expect them to utilize Zeke more now that Dak is gone, and that just hasn't been the case. And came out with
Tony Pollard's been getting some touches too.
Career high 2 fumbles in a game, and I don't know. I'm scratching my head, kind of wondering if this is going to be the layout for the rest of the season, or if he's going to pick it back up and be the running back that you expected. How are you guys feeling about Zeke moving forward?
Go ahead, Stefan. I'll let you take this one.
I mean, I still think you got to ride it out. Like, he's been so good for so long. I know you're disappointed with what we've seen since Dak has left. But, I mean, he's one of the best in the NFL. I think Zach Martin coming back should be a big boost to him, big confidence builder. And especially if Andy Dalton misses, they're not going to ride the back of Ben DiNucci. They're going to get the ball to Zeke. They're going to let him kind of lead their offense to whatever it is that they can produce. So I think with Zeke, you just got to continue to play him until those touches go away. Like, if you're playing David Montgomery, Zeke shouldn't be a question to you.
So 43-point over under. It's gonna be awesome.
Who do you guys got?
No, Cowboys all day, baby. Easy peasy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Kool-Aid are you drinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Don't
gotta be.
say anything, stuff. It's a division matchup. You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
For
I know exactly what's gonna happen.
Okay, we can talk money after this.
All right, that's fine.
Already lost 20 last week.
Let's move over to the Philly side of the ball. Carson Wentz seems to be pulling
them all.
some decent games now. So I mean, I think you're starting Carson Wentz, but Miles Sanders is actually trending in the direction of possibly being a go. We didn't talk about him earlier in the injury report, but all news was looking like he was going to be out for a few weeks, but now they're saying there's a possibility he might be able to play this week. But with a more realistic option that Boston Scott is still the guy this week, where are you at with Boston Scott as a possible play this week?
Start him.
Yeah, start him. Yeah, especially against Dallas,
Yep.
I mean, especially against Dallas.
We know.
I think the thing with Philly is that it's a little bit more of a question at the wide receiver core. We've seen Travis Fulgham be the guy, but the possibility, I mean, all signs are pointing towards Jalen Reagor returning this week. You might see Alshon. Greg Ward has been involved here and there. Where does your confidence level go with Travis Fulgham if Jalen Reagor returns?
I'm still starting him. Still using Travis. He's been
For
too
this week
dependable.
especially.
Yeah, he's been too dependable for them to just cut him off. He's still going to get targets, and he's so good. they're gonna continue to use him.
See, my worry is if Jalen Reagor and Alshon Jeffrey are healthy and both plays, I think that automatically moves Travis Fulgham to the wide receiver 3 on the week for them, which I mean, he's been great, but I think those other two guys, like Alshon Jeffrey is a guy that they, went out and traded for and has been their number one for the last couple of years. And then Jalen Reagor is someone who they drafted super, super high and have a lot of confidence in through training camp. So I think he just automatically, they want to get him involved. So I mean, this is a great matchup. So I agree. You still probably have to start him, but my outlook on Travis Fulgham going forward is getting a little bit murky now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's going to get murky, but I don't think this week is the week that's going to be murky. I think this week, even if those guys come back, there's no way they're going to play the entire game. They're going to be limited. I think Fulgham and Ward will probably end up with more than both of them, even if they came out and played. So I think Fulgham is I think he's still the number one there for this week, and then who knows after. Are you guys you have any interest in, was it Richard Rodgers? Their tight end.
Yep. A lot of interest in Mr. Rogers. We're always happy for anybody with the last name Rogers.
Of course.
You'll see a little bit about that later.
Okay.
But yeah, I like Richard Rogers. Again, this Dallas defense just has been bleeding points to any position. So
handing them out.
Yeah, obviously Zach Ertz on the IR. We have Dallas Goedert to be taken off the IR, but will not be here this week. So it should still be all
20-something days to be activated.
Right. It should still be all Richard Rodgers. And he was pretty involved last week. So I think he gets heavily involved this week. Should be a good play for someone that you can pick up and play right away. All right, let's get into the last matchup of the week. We have the Monday night matchup, Tampa Bay taking on the New York Giants. Tampa Bay, I mean, Tom Brady's been looking good, coming off a huge performance last week. He's getting your boy Gronk involved, Ashton. But this week, it looks like he's going to be missing Chris Godwin once again. So you're going to have the combination of Mike Evans and Scotty Miller. And then Leonard Fournette's back. So we saw last week the more backfield with Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. So I guess let's start there. Now that Leonard Fournette is back, is he someone that you're considering as a possible play, or is he still a little bit too shaky for you?
I think you can start them both in this game. I mean, the Giants are they're just not great. Okay, guys, the defense is struggling. Their back half of defenses against running backs, and they've given up top 12 points the last 3 weeks to running backs in general. I think you could probably play both of them. I think Ronald Jones is going to have more carries, but there's a chance Fournette finds himself in the end zone. But I think everybody on Tampa Bay side is pretty much a go this week.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I guess we should specify because Chris Godwin's out. So Scotty Miller, I'd say he's an option this week.
Yep.
Don't do it. Please avoid Scotty Miller.
I'm leaning more towards Ronald Jones this week as well, but Fournette came back and got a decent amount of work. Kind of what I was anticipating, just kind of being a little bit more limited there, but I think he'll probably pick that up this week. But I still think Rojo will lead the way. Does Gronk go for a third consecutive touchdown this week? Yes, he does.
Quite possible. It's very possible.
Yeah, so I think that, like you guys are saying, the possibility of Scotty Miller being a play. If you want to take that chance, take it. But I mean,
get burned.
If you look, let's look at the games that Chris Godwin has missed so far. That's when everybody's talking Scotty Miller as being a possible play. and he's missed 3 games. He's missed week 2, 4, and 5. Chris Godwin, that is. And Scotty Miller in his absence. Week 2, he scored 2.2 points, 2 receptions for 11 yards, 1 carry for 1 yard.
Mm-hmm.
Week 4 is the week that he boomed, and I think is the week that is giving you the option to possibly consider him. He had 5 catches, 83 yards, and a touchdown for 16.8 points. And then week 5, he goosed you. 0 receptions, 0
Got him.
yards. So it's like you got a 2-point game, a 0-point game, and then 1 16-point game. That I mean, it just it's too.
So this,
too
when you
sketchy
say
for me.
this is the every other of that, and this is the boom time,
Nope.
that's what
Don't want
you're
him.
saying to me.
I'm telling you, do not play Scotty Miller.
I think you can, guys.
We doing it-
everyone
we
out
do it.
there.
We doing
We
a
always do that. We always say, okay, it's Chris
We doing
Godwin's out, Mike Evans is out. Let's play Scotty Miller, and it's not good. Like it's
We-
one time has been good.
what's the bet here?
The bet is don't start Scotty Miller. Like
Well, I mean, what's the line though? Where is he considered a good start versus a bad start?
I mean, a half point, probably 12 points. Like you can give me
I think
12
he'll have-
points and a half point.
Okay. I was
You're
about
a
to say
good
he'll
start.
have more than 10. He'll have more than 10 points this week.
Yeah, I was gonna say 10 plus, but
Yeah, but 10 and a half point isn't
You
crazy
just told me he
high.
had 0 and 2. I mean, what are you
Yeah,
afraid
that's
of?
bad.
What are you afraid of?
I mean, I'll take 10 because he's not going to get 10 either. But
He's
it's
going
just,
to get 10.
all right, let's do
Guaranteed.
10. Let's do 10.
we could-
Alrighty.
We could do 10.
My chicken strips are coming again.
All right, if he gets 12, then we get a side of ranch too.
Hey,
So I mean, what's the bet? It's 2 against 1. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't understand how we
me
do
and
this.
Ashton will split whatever we get.
I'll pick the scraps here.
He gets the ranch.
I'll lick the sauce off the wrappers.
All right,
Go
on
for
the,
the Giants side, guys.
on the Giants side, like this is a really tough matchup for them. Tampa Bay's defense has looked great. They got Sterling Shepard back last week, and he looked to be the number 1 kind of option for Daniel Jones. Are you possibly starting Sterling Shepard or Darius Slayton in this matchup?
With Shepard coming back, I'm concerned with Darius Slayton. And they could bring Shepard back as a limited participant, but we'd have to see. I think Shepard, if he's coming back fully healthy, he's gonna get a good amount of work. But
Yeah, no, he's fully healthy. He played the full
Yeah, he
game
played
last week
last
against
week.
Philly.
It was his first game back. Yeah.
what were his numbers? I missed that. What did he put up
6
last week?
6 for 59 on 8 targets for a touchdown.
Okay, well, definitely concerned about Darius Slayton again this week. Then
Yeah, it's a little scary.
I
He'll
just
probably be the field stretcher.
Yeah, I'm not too stoked on Jones in this passing offense in general, especially against Tampa Bay's tough defense. It's a bad matchup. I'd be cautious even looking at Shepard moving forward. But
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
you got to be cautious.
do what you must.
Yeah,
But
probably
it's
avoiding the
a
Giants
tough
team this
matchup.
week.
I think it's pretty hard to play anybody on the Giants side.
Receivers have had the best luck against Tampa Bay, though. I will say that. So you have some hope, and they're gonna be down, so they'll be throwing it more than likely. So I would say you have some hope with those wide receivers, but just don't get too excited. Steph.
Fair enough. All right, I don't really think there's too many people to spend too much time on with the Giants. So let's go straight into our starts and sits of the week. I'll let you lead us off, Ashton. Who's your start of the week at quarterback?
I got Tom Brady, big old TB, playing against the Giants. He's been on fire lately. He's put up 30 plus points 2 out of his last 4 games. It's a great matchup against the Giants, who have allowed 8 most fantasy points to opposing QBs, and it's a revenge game. He's been burned a couple times by the Giants in the past.
Couple of Super Bowls.
So yeah, I think
about
the Giants are a good target for Brady to come out with a win. And even though they're missing Chris Godwin, they're still going to be really pass heavy. And I'm expecting him to put up similar numbers to last week. I think it's still going to be a great matchup for him.
Very nice. That was I was thinking about him as well, but I was like, I'll leave that one open. So I'll go ahead and jump in here. Got Derek Carr. He just has a really good matchup. He's playing the Browns. He's been pretty good this year. I don't think you've been too disappointed with him. And the Browns have allowed 3 top 4 performances and 4 top 10 in general over the season's length. So it's really just a great matchup. Ruggs is a little bit healthier. Nelson Aguilar is clearly a superstar again. And Darren the Walrus is out there ready to just put up some points for him. So Derek Carr, great start. Enjoy.
Mine is Aaron Rodgers taking on the Minnesota Vikings. We love the weeks that we can make Aaron Rodgers our starter. But yeah, Minnesota's just been giving up a ton of points to quarterbacks. And we've already seen this matchup with Aaron Rodgers back in week 1, taking on Minnesota, in which he put up 30 points. So he's got Adams back healthy again and should continue to be on fire. How about at the running back position? Who's y'all's running back start of the week?
I got a pretty spicy one if you want it, if you can handle it.
Let's see what you got.
Le'Veon Bell, running back. That was the second running back on the depth chart for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the revenge game everyone's been talking about. We're all expecting big things, especially me. He's playing the Jets, the stupid, stinky, smelly Jets that have just been so bad. I mean, 5 out of 7 games they've given up top 12 points to running backs this year. So you can expect Lev Bell to get some points. He's going to fall into the end zone. I'm guaranteeing he will have a touchdown this week. So I just want everyone to know that.
Guaranteed. Very nice. Ashton, who you got?
I got Boston Scott. Boston Michael Scott. I don't know. I don't know if his middle name's not Michael, but I had to throw it in there. Look, he's playing against Dallas Cowboys. They've been struggling as of late. Dallas has allowed the 9th most fantasy points per game to running back. They've also allowed the 2nd most rushing yards per game. So Scott looked great last week, especially on that game-winning touchdown.
You mean last second touchdown?
Yes. So I just think I'm a big Boston Scott believer. I think they're using him well. He seems to have a great connection with Wentz, especially in the passing game. So I continue to put my trust in him moving forward with this atrocious Cowboys defense.
My running back start of the week is Mike Davis. Finally get a chance to take one of the Thursday night guys. So if you have Mike Davis tonight, just watch him light up the scoreboard.
I will. I can't wait.
As he leads you to a fantasy victory. Congratulations, you're going to win just because you have Mike Davis.
Thank you.
Again, I'm taking a matchup we've already seen. This was Mike Davis's best game of the year in terms of fantasy. We saw this 3 weeks ago, and Mike Davis scored 25 points. So this Atlanta defense is terrible. We tend to take one of these matchups against Atlanta every week, and I think this is the one you're looking for this week. All right, let's move over to wide receiver starts of the week. I will start us off. We talked about him a little bit earlier, but I think Brandon Ayuk against Seattle should be a fantastic play this week. We talked about how banged up San Francisco is. We don't know what's happening with the running backs. They're missing Debo. Really, it's just Brandon Ayuk and Mr. Kittle. So it's going to be heavily involved towards Brandon Ayuk. They're going to get him. They're going to get creative and get him involved running. They're going to get creative and check down to him for some screens. So I think Brandon Ayuk should be a fantastic play this week.
Good job.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ashton would concur that was a good job because he wanted that pick as well.
It was my pick. I transitioned though to another matchup against the Cowboys with Travis Fulgham.
Oh gosh!
Oh, come on, take it easy.
Take it easy.
Well, I mean, it's just I don't know. Are they the new Jets? I don't know. They might be.
Well, come on, man.
That is rude.
I'm just saying.
Yep, you
Look.
pretty much said all you needed to say.
10 plus targets in three straight games. He's had 12 plus points in his 3 out of the 4 matchups that he's played in the past 4 games. So, look, I know we went over it before with Alshon Jeffrey possibly coming back. We're concerned that Travis Fulgham's going to have to take a step back, and you're talking about him going back to wide receiver 3. I don't necessarily agree with that, especially in this matchup. I think if you're going to start him again, this is the matchup to start him. It's a great matchup against Dallas, and I trust that he's going to continue to be utilized just fine. So call it a gut instinct, call it what you want, but I have no hesitation starting Travis Fulgham this week.
Good. So my wide receiver start of the week is Mike Evans. This is going to be another touchdown guarantee. I'm guaranteeing two touchdowns from 4 of my starts. Actually, I'll go ahead and guarantee them all. Actually, we'll see.
Wow.
Okay, Mike Evans. Look, Godwin's out. They're playing the horrid Giants, so I'm pumped up for him. I can't wait for that touchdown he's going to catch that I just talked about. So yeah, Mike Evans.
Very nice. All right. Lastly, tight end start of the week. Who do you guys got?
This one's probably my longest shot. I am on the other side of that Philadelphia Dallas game, and I've got Dalton Schultz. He burned Stefan last week, so I expect him to treat me better this week. Really just hoping that he can be a safety valve for whoever is QB for the Cowboys this week, and hoping Zach Martin can hold up that line and give him a little bit more time to throw it to Dalton Schultz. So this one's scary.
It's fair. I'll give you mine real quick. I'll make it short because Ashton's already taken every person against Dallas. Mine is Richard Rodgers, the Eagles tight end.
And he's playing Dallas. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's it. He's playing Dallas. You already know Dallas defense is not that good.
Just keep shredding my heart.
Ashton, who you got?
I got Robert Tonyan this week.
Do it, man. I'm telling you.
Tunyon the onion.
Tunyon the onion. Look, I know we're concerned. I know Stephen doesn't like him.
You can
Aaron
drop
Rodgers just
He
throwing.
hates him.
Aaron Rodgers just throwing too many touchdowns. I think he can find Tunyon in the end zone somewhere and hook him up. Devontae Adams came back and just stole the show, but that's not going to be the game script every week. He's got to spread the ball out a little bit. There aren't too many other options in the Green Bay receiving core there, so I'm hoping that Tunyon can pick it up this week and make me not look as bad as I did last week. So that's my ride in this week.
All right, let's move over to
Great matchup. Vikings have put up 2.3 touchdowns per game in receiving. So
Yep, we saw Tunyon really exploit it.
they're giving up the ball in the air. So yeah.
All right, let's move over to our sits of the week. We'll start it off with the quarterback position. Who do you guys have as your quarterback sit of the week?
I'll start. I got Kirk Cousins. He's coming off a better game this past week, but I'm not
Before
gonna.
the bye.
Yes, that's what I meant. Against Atlanta, that was his only game over 300 yards. But Green Bay's secondary is looking pretty good. They're going to put a lot of pressure on Cousins, I think, and his offensive line isn't too stellar. So I think Cousins is going to have to make some tough decisions. He's only had one game this year that he hasn't had an interception in. He gives up the ball a ton.
Just giving it away.
Yes. So I'm expecting Cousins to have some struggling gameplay this week, especially against this pretty tough Green Bay defense. And I would not consider starting him moving forward. Well, maybe against Detroit, but Green Bay's a no for me. Fair.
Okay, I'll hop in here with my QB sit of the week, and it is Matt Stafford. Honestly, I think I'm probably not the only one that's been super disappointed in Matt Stafford this year. He hasn't been able to exploit these easy matchups, and now he is playing against the Indianapolis Colts this week. So yeah, that's about it. That's all you need to know.
Wow. Okay. Great. My quarterbacks of the week is Josh Allen taking on the Patriots. New England's only given up one game of 20-plus points to the quarterback position on the year, and that was to Mr. Russell Wilson himself. But yeah, I mean, Josh Allen's been struggling over the last couple of weeks in terms of fantasy production. Obviously, he looked great last week, just couldn't find the end zone. But this is another tough matchup in the division. So I just think Josh Allen will continue to stay on that struggle bus. So Josh Allen is my quarterback sit of the week. Next up, let's talk about running back sits of the week. Who you guys have as your running backs of the week?
I got David Montgomery. He's only had 2 touchdowns this year. We talked about him earlier in the show. He's just not that guy that you're expecting, a big ceiling from, and his floor is pretty weak. I mean, yes, you might anticipate 8 to 10 points from him each week, but I think like you said before, there's so many other options that you can pick up that have a bigger opportunity to give you bigger points. He hasn't broken 60 yards in the past 5 straight games. That's concerning, and that that leads to the concern with his efficiency as well. Plus, he's facing a Saints defense that's number 7 and allowing fewest fantasy points to opposing running backs. It's a tough matchup. I'm not putting my trust in him this week, or probably ever. Get rid of him. Time to get rid of him.
That's fair. I alluded to mine earlier, and it's the Seattle running backs. Honestly, if Chris Carson, you can play him if he's there, but he's going to be banged up, and it's not going to be a good time anyway. But like Stephanie brought up, it's going to be down to DJ Dallas against a top 4 running back or run defense. So I'm not excited for any points there. It's not going to be good. It's going to be ugly. They're going to let Russ cook. They're throwing it all over the place. So Seattle RBs, have a seat.
My running back sit of the week is Myles Gaskin. This is our first time with Tua, so we don't know what we're going to see yet. There's a lot of uncertainty with this Miami offense leading into this week, and this is a very, very tough matchup. You get to meet Aaron Donald right in the middle of that line. So I think LA is going to try to let Tua beat them, see what he's got, let the rookie have a chance, and instead shut down the run. So I think Myles Gaskin is going to be extremely disappointing this week. All right, 2 more here to go, guys. Wide receiver sit of the week. I'll lead us off. I don't know if people are still considering starting this guy, but I'm here to reaffirm that this is not someone that you should be starting at all.
You say Scotty Miller, I'm going to punch you in the mouth.
It should have been Scotty Miller. Very similar player to Scotty Miller. Julian Edelman against the Buffalo Bills. Look, this New England pass game has been extremely disappointing. The lack thereof of this pass game. Cam Newton doesn't look like he knows what he's doing in terms of throwing the ball. We might see.
Hey, he had Corona. Give him a break.
We might see Jared Stidham again if Cam decides to get benched once more. So yeah, Julian Edelman just should not be in people's lineups at all right now going forward until we see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel for New England's pass offense. Who do you guys have as your wide receivers of the week?
I'm gonna ride the Miami Dolphin train with you, my friend, and it's Devontae Parker. This one hurts. I have Devontae Parker in a lot of leagues, but I am not playing him unless I 100% have to. The Rams are the second best defense against wide receivers. They've allowed a 12 and 11 top 12 or top 12 finishes to multiple. It's like the combination of points, and it's still not enough to support anybody. There's a good chance we'll get Ramseyed. He's also still banged up as he's been all year long. So it's really not a good matchup. You got Tua coming out there. Don't know what that's going to look like yet. And in a bad matchup like this, I'm just going to sit him. Have a chair.
I got Juju against Baltimore. He came off his third best game of the season, week 7 against Tennessee. 85 yards on 9 receptions, 14 targets. But he's playing against a Ravens defense that is pretty tough. They've allowed 3 receiving touchdowns to wide receivers this season, which is second fewest in the NFL. And how I have Seattle's receiving core ranked, Juju's third on the list for me. I could be wrong, and that could pay out for him since Chase and Deontay might be covered more heavily than Juju in this matchup. But either way, it's just a tough ringer against the Ravens defense. So I'm stepping away from Juju this week.
Fair enough. My tight end, we'll move over to the tight ends because we just got to keep moving forward here. I'm going to start it off with tight end instead of the week. Mine is Evan Ingram taking on Tampa Bay. We talked about how tough of matchup Tampa Bay is across the board. I just think Daniel Jones isn't going to be able to handle the pressure that Tampa Bay is going to bring. So you were a little bit surprised that Evan Ingram had his most touches of the season last week, and you were hoping to see more of the same. I just don't think that continues here in this tough matchup. So Evan Ingram is my tight end instead of the week.
Good.
Give me go.
I was just staring at Stefan, if anyone was wondering. I can go ahead. Mine's gonna be quick. It's Trey Burton, Trey Boo Boo. I know Stefan is starting to love this guy. I think he's the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't. He's playing the Detroit Lions, which you normally think would be a pretty good matchup. But they've only allowed one top 15 performance this year to tight ends. They're the third best defense against tight ends, I guess, because they let it go down the field instead of passes to the tight ends. So yeah, he's a sit on the bench.
I'm sticking with Seattle starters here, or Seattle players. I'm gonna go with Eric Ebron. He's dealing with an elbow injury again, facing Baltimore defense. Tough matchup for him. I know he had a decent week in Week 7 against Tennessee, put up 8 points, but I think he's going to take a step back. He missed practice yesterday, so something to keep an eye on, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to get as much work this week against Baltimore.
Yeah, I think you said Seattle, but Pittsburgh. Yeah, I knew what you meant.
Oh, did I say Seattle? Yeah, sorry. Steelers.
I knew what you meant.
Thanks for that.
All right, well, that wraps it up for our stars and sits of the week. And that wraps it up for our Week 8 shows. So make sure to check us out on all of our socials, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as find the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Make sure to give us a like, follow, send us in your listener lineup questions, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Week 9.
Sounds good.
Bye.
See ya.